back to Lake Math. Today we're going to continue doing the SAT practice test number 8. We left off on question number 10. So, a group of 202 people went on an overnight camping trip, taking 60 tents with them. Some of the tents held 2 people and the rest held 4 people. Assuming all the tents were filled to capacity and every person got to sleep in a tent, exactly how many of the tents were 2-person tents? It's a system of equations problem. So, we need to get our equations. They're asking about 2-person tents, and then we also have 4-person tents. So we want to put our totals by themselves. So equals, and we have 202 people and 60 tents. Now we have 2-person and 4-person, so I'll just call the 2-persons T and the 4-persons F. So T plus F is 60. You want to make sure you've got the right stuff equals the right stuff. So I have tents plus tents equal tents. Now I need to get people plus people equals people. So I've got 4 people in the 4-person tents, and I've got 2 people in the 2-people tents. Now I need to actually solve this. They want to know what T is. So I'll subtract T and subtract T. We're going to do substitution. You could do elimination also. Both of those, if you need to get more practice, you can look in other parts of our website for that. I'm going to do substitution. So I want to get F by itself. The reason I'm subtracting T is so that I end up with T, so I don't have to solve both, I just solve for T. So I get F equals 60 minus T. Now, since 2 are equal, I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to put it here where the F is. Always use parentheses when you substitute. So now all I have are T's, so I only have one variable. I'm going to want to distribute first to get rid of my parentheses. And now we need to combine. I can combine my T's. So I had -4 and 2. So I end up with -2T. Now what I need to do is get the numbers on the other side. I'll bring it up here. I'll subtract 240 from both sides. Now I need to divide in order to get T. So I'll divide by -2. T is 19. Now we're going to move on to the to the calculator section. Now the funny thing is, on the calculator section, calculator is probably not helpful at all. So if you're using a calculator, you're probably doing it wrong. All right, which of the following equations could be the graph above? It goes up, and they both go the same direction. That means it's going to be an even exponent, because they both go in the same direction. Even exponents point in the same way. Odd ones point in different directions. So this is 3x's, it's not that. This is x to the 3rd, it's not that. So we've got to decide, is it B or is it D? Now we can look at the parts in parentheses to see where our zeros are. This one has zeros of -2 and 3. And -2 and 3, it doesn't hit, so it's not that. This one has them at 2 and -3, so that's my answer. Oil and gas production in a certain area dropped from 4 million barrels in 2000 to 1.9 million barrels in 2013. Assuming that the oil and gas production decreased at a constant rate, which of the following linear functions best models the production in millions of barrels T years after the year 2000? We need a slope. So we had 4 million in 2000. 1.9 in 2013. Those are actually coordinates. T is years after 2000, so that means the year 2000 is 0. And in 0, we had 4 million. And in 13, we had 1.9. So in order to do slope, we're going to subtract our y's on top and subtract our x's on bottom. So on top, I'm going to have 1.9 minus 4. On bottom, 13 minus 0. So negative 2.1 over 13. If we multiply this by 10, negative and 130. All right, 2a over b equals 1/2. What's the value of b over a? So I got to clean up my stuff in order to actually get that. I want to turn this around until it actually looks like this. First thing you might notice is that we have a 2 here. So let's get rid of my 2. I can divide both sides by 2. So these cancel, and now I just have a over b equals 1 over 4.
Sorry, you said divided by 2?
Yes, which is the same as sticking it on the bottom of my fraction.
Okay, I got confused.
That's okay. It's a good question. It's already multiplying here, so by sticking it on the bottom, it's dividing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, so now we got b over a, and over here I got a over b. So what I need to do, multiply both sides by b. These cancel. Now a equals 1 over 4b. And now I need to divide by 1/4. Dividing by 1/4 is the same as multiplying by 4. So 4a, these cancel. And now I divide by a. Those cancel. So my answer is 4. Now, back here, we had a over b equals 1/4. Notice that the answer is just the same thing flipped over. That would be shorter, and this is a time test. All right, so this one's kind of ugly. The first one, we've got a quadratic. It has an x squared, it's a u shape, it's a parabola. This one has just a regular x. It's a line. So that means, at most, they could have 2 solutions. Because we've got a u shape and then we got a line. Now, they could have 1 solution, where the u shape just barely touches the line. Could have no solutions. So I'm going to have to mess with this to actually find out. So first, I'm going to move this around until it's in slope-intercept form. So I'll add 5x and subtract 8 from both sides, and it becomes y equals 5x minus 8. So now I at least sort of know what that looks like. It's down here at minus 8. It goes up 5 and over 1. So I have a line, sort of like that. Now this one, my y-intercept is going to be -7. So it's right here. This part is positive, so that means my parabola faces up. So it's going to go like that. So definitely not 4 solutions. There could still be 2, there could still be 1. So I'm going to have to actually figure this out a little bit more. Terrible question. All right, you're going to have to stick this in here and solve it. 5x minus 8 equals x squared plus 3x minus 7. This would be really easy if they gave you a calculator. You could just graph it. That's probably why they don't. All right, so we'll add 8 to both sides. And now I need to get my x's on the same side, because to solve this, I need to actually get it set equal to 0. All right, now I've got a quadratic. I need to factor this. In order to factor this, I need factors of c that add up to b. So this is going to be x minus 1, x minus 1, and it has 2 solutions. But they're actually the same solution. All right, the functions g and h are defined above. What is the value of h of 0? H of 0 means I'm going to put a 0 in h for x. So g of x means this whole thing goes where that is. So h of x equals 1 minus 2x minus 1. And then h of 0 means I'm going to put a 0 right here where x is. So h of 0 equals 1 minus 2 times 0 minus 1. This all goes away. So h of 0 equals 1. This negative applies to everything in here, but since this goes away, it doesn't really matter. This negative and this negative cancel, so it's a positive 1.